What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming podcast, a podcast all about everything PC gaming related. And for those of you who've been in the stream for a couple minutes, that is exactly how organized we normally sound before everything goes live. It's really, hey, is everyone ready to go? I mean, is it broken? Is it going to work? Okay, that's good enough. Let's do it. Is generally how we lead up to the show.
Screw it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, so let me know if the audio is balanced. We're experimenting with new software. Hopefully you guys will be watching the podcast at a silky smooth 30 FPS in that glorious, glorious PC Master Race 720p. Thanks to our new Elgato HD game capture, which is part of the potato masher. Dave, what is the potato masher? For anyone who may not know. What other name might they know the potato masher by?
What was it called before?
The Cheap Ass 4.
Right, the Cheap Ass 4.
I remember this.
And what is the Cheap Ass 4? Why don't you walk everyone through it? For the new people to the podcast, give us the 1 minute version.
This is our challenge project. Joel has challenged us to build a mini PC, a little form factor PC that both looks good and can at least match the PlayStation 4 in games on PC. So
because Joel says, what is impossible?
Joel claims that it is impossible to both... I guess he claims both these are impossible. Both building a PC for that money that's actually worth something, and then actually being able to play games continuously over the next couple of years with it. He thinks both of those things are impossible. So we're going to set out to prove him wrong. There has been a name change, though, and the project is now called the Potato Masher.
The Potato Masher.
For obvious reasons.
I prefer that to the Cheap Ass 4.
Now, we needed something that was a little more like SEO friendly that we could put in YouTube titles and stuff. You know, we didn't want to run into any issues with it. So
I feel like that's going to be a fun logo too. There's going to be a logo, yeah.
So, and we've ordered all the parts for the Potato Masher. It was about 2 or 3 weeks of Dave and I frantically emailing back and forth going, are you kidding? We can get this for this little money? Like the first night after Joel issued the challenge, I went on YouTube, not on YouTube, I went on eBay and found that we could get like Core 2 Duos for $7 a piece. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, I'll just order a handful and we'll start overclocking them. Whichever ones burn up, we'll just throw them away. It's like candy.
There was actually a brief point where we were going to possibly have, which gen was the i7 930, Jeremiah? That was 2nd gen i7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If the platforms, the motherboards for those had been a bit higher quality and less expensive, that was considered briefly, because those CPUs are still great, but the platform is awful. Those motherboards are super unstable, and most of them are junk.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, and Joel's been giggling to himself at our hardware choices just because his computer occasionally has hiccups in Ubisoft's games. He thinks that we're just going to have all kinds of problems.
Whose computers don't have hiccups in Ubisoft games? Come on.
I'm sure the developers do too.
No, you're lying. You're lying right now. Oh yeah, by the way, welcome to the podcast. Special guest, Jamie, TheRoflRaptor.
Yeah, you forgot to introduce him.
I was getting around to it, okay?
This is a long introduction. Wow.
So anyway...
Hi, I'm TheRoflRaptor, and my Ubisoft games are great.
Now, obviously, you're lying. Why do you feel that your computer can run them better?
No, Jeremiah, let's ask the real questions here. Now, Jamie, how much did Ubisoft pay you to come on tonight's podcast?
How fat's that check?
Yeah.
How fat's that check?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Well.
Ooh, he can't talk about it. It's good.
No, but I actually thought that I got my copy of Far Cry 4 and I thought, Ubisoft have done it. Like, it's an okay release. I mean, there's that weird hitching thing that you get.
Yes, that's all I get too, is the hitching.
That Total Biscuit drew attention to as well. But apart from that, it seemed fine. And then I went on Twitter and found 90% of other people hated it, and it was awful for them. So
I was so far. Far Cry 4 has had no issues for me. Assassin's Creed Unity, on the other hand.
Oh, well, you see, I just didn't buy that one.
We didn't buy either of them. Dave and I both bought 970s, and they came with free game codes, so we just traded Uplay accounts. And
that's how I got Far Cry 4.
Yeah,
my 970 is doing well so far.
Unity was... Dave, I even sent you some screenshots. It's the most inconsistent game I think I've ever played. Some of the textures and models are amazing. They're next gen. And then some of them look like they're like early PS3, like really mushy, flat, low-res textures with like no anisotropic filtering. It's like really horrible. And it's just randomly like a person will have some really great textures and really horrible textures all at the same time. Like there's no rhyme or reason, but they did release patches, a bunch of patches. They released a patch that fixed over 300 things. That's actually one of our news items. Over 300 things were fixed less than a week after launch, which makes you wonder, like, just hold the game another week.
Okay, I gotta complain here too, because I remember those screenshots you sent me, and okay, as a 3D artist, this really bothers me because I feel like somewhere along the pipeline something went horribly wrong, because one of the most important things for the end result in your texturing like pipeline is making sure that your pixel density is the same. Because no matter how awesomely designed your textures look, no matter how real the materials look, if you have two textures side by side that are occupying the same amount of space, so like in the game world, they're both 2 square feet, but one of them has a texture that's half the resolution of the other and it's blurrier, just that contrast, like players see it instantly and you can't unsee it once you see it. So yeah, like you said, like that's one of the most noticeable things just because of the contrast right there. It just... That's sad to see because some of the artwork does look really, really good.
Yeah, it's a tragedy of inconsistency, I guess is the nicest way to say it. Like,
ooh,
it's
fancy
more
words.
Yeah. It's more Assassin's Creed. If you like Assassin's Creed, you'll probably like it. It's not quite as fun as Black Flag, but it is an Assassin's Creed game. It's pretty decent. But I don't know. I'm gonna play it. I guess that's not like for someone who spent 3 years of their life working on it. That's probably not great praise there.
That's gonna be so crushing. You're like, I got it for free, and I guess I'll play it. It's like, oh,
passable.
My life, like my children forgot what I looked like. I worked so hard.
Yeah. So anyway, the potato masher. We've ordered all the parts. Let's run everybody through the parts list. Now, this came out, the challenge was $350, is about the price of a used PS4 in good condition. And our goal was to see if we could build a computer for that amount. Now, that does not include the cost of an operating system because Sony does not charge you extra for their operating system. They have to include one. So we're assuming for this build, you have a spare Windows key laying around somewhere you can use, which I do. I have an old student copy of Windows 7, and they don't know I'm not a student, so... it's going on my computer. We picked an i5 750, first gen i5 quad core, 2.6 gigahertz, should be able to overclock. Some people say 4.5. With our motherboard that we're getting, I'm hoping for like 3.5 to 4. I think we'd be doing pretty well. Also,
4 was going to be like a really good mark to aim for. I think
4 is going to be hot because our cooler, we can't spend a ton of money on a cooler. We spent $6 as it turns out and got an Arctic Silver 11 GT. Not a terrible cooler, but it's not a Hyper 212 or a water cooler. You got to, like, when you're building for $350, you can get good performance, but you have to cut corners everywhere you possibly can. The motherboard is just a Asus ATX socket 1150 motherboard, no big deal.
Not exciting at all. No fancy colors or LEDs.
The power supply is an EVGA 430 watt that we got brand spanking new for $15 after a rebate. This is the best part about this. A lot of this has actually been purchased new or refurbished. Like, we thought initially when we started looking at things, it was all going to be like some homeless man found a computer on the street and listed the parts on eBay, and like that's what we'll be able to afford. But
it all smells like cat pee.
The graphics card is brand new. The memory's refurbished. Motherboard refurbished.
Yeah.
CPU cooler brand new. Power supply brand new. Mouse and keyboard brand new. And the CPU is used. So actually, the only thing that was just straight up used is the case, which is Debbie's old case, and a CPU. Now, anything that we got for free or that we already had, we looked up the average used price, and that's the price we added into the budget. So we're not cheating. We're not cutting any corners. But Cyber Monday came around and we scooped up a GTX 760 for $140. So we're going to be running an i5 overclocked quad core and a GTX 760 in a computer that costs $356. Suck it, Joel. And the memory is going to be 4 gigabytes of DDR3. Which is the one place where we're a little nervous, is only 4 gigs of memory. We couldn't go to 8.
For games, it'll be fine. It'll be a little bit hard to stream with, I think, possibly. Like, if you push it really hard. But
too many tabs open on Google Chrome,
yeah, that's the thing. To keep this thing running well, nothing is getting installed on it. Games. It'll have Uplay, Origin, Steam, and Capture software, and that's it. I'm not even sure I'm going to have web browsers on it. Like the Elgato, we got an Elgato Game Capture HD. That's going to do the capturing. And then if we need an extra bit of grunt for the processing, we can use Shadowplay to process everything and upload it. So we're going to try to keep everything as streamlined as possible, but we're going to keep you guys updated on everything. All the parts have been ordered and the parts are on the way. So we'll let you know when it gets here and it gets built, and you'll see lots of videos coming out and graphics comparisons and all kinds of stuff.
I was going to say that graphics card, I think, was a pretty sweet find. That thing has got almost 1,200 cores for $140. That's a big chunk of our budget too. It's just to the graphics. So
I've explained this to Joel, so I'm not talking bad about him when he's not here. I've explained to Joel, like, he doesn't realize how wrong he's about to be. Like, I think he's just not prepared for the level of whipping he's about to get. I was reading Digital Foundry last night, and they do graphics comparisons of consoles versus PC on all new games and stuff.
Yeah.
Many new games. They were able to run Advanced Warfare on a 750 Ti at almost ultra settings, 60 FPS at 1080p. That's a 750 Ti. So
yeah. So we're going to be able to cover that little bit of advantage that consoles get from how close the hardware is to the operating system. We're going to close that gap and then just like smash through the ceiling and keep on trucking. It's pretty exciting.
And hopefully we'll be doing this for like the next 4 or 5 years. We'll be bringing you guys game reviews and stuff, or graphics reviews, comparisons and such things, just so people can see. This isn't really just to like make fun of Joel. That's how it started, was as a challenge. But
a fun challenge. It's all
a fun challenge. It's all in good fun. Joel, I think Joel might get a little bitter when he sees all the initial comparisons.
Well, the great part is that Joel knows that he's technically wrong. He enjoys the argument too much to not go that route. He has to travel down that road.
But I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the kind of results of this whole little project of yours.
Yeah. Because I'm extremely excited.
When I first heard you talk about it, I mean, I think I haven't really seen anyone do such a kind of from the ground up like for like comparison in terms of price, and like, you guys have been so stringent with the budget costs and everything, like trying to make sure that it is as fair as possible. I haven't seen anyone really do that, and anyone who knows me will know that I'm always looking out for an opportunity to stick it to the consoles. I mean, I own one. I have an Xbox
I own one
One.
too. My PS4 is the one we're going to be capturing from.
And I kind of hate it.
Why can you hate it? There's nothing to play on it. Except all those free indie games you're getting with PlayStation Plus that you could get in Humble Bundles for literally free.
I bought my Xbox One for one game.
Master Chief Collection?
And that one game is broken beyond belief.
Master Chief Collection.
I literally cry every time. It's awful.
Which is funny because, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Halo games always ran really well. Like, they didn't have big performance issues, did they? Like, from launch. Because I remember when Halo 2 launched, what a huge event that was. I don't remember reading about all the servers crashing and not being able to matchmake or anything else. Like, it worked 10 years ago.
No, and Halo 3 launched really well, and Reach had a pretty extensive beta. And I don't understand why they didn't do a beta for this, but
maybe they were going for like the shock and awe factor of like, you get to play it for the first time, in HD and whatever else.
If you wait for 10 hours in the lobby, you get to play it for the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, my Xbox is sitting gathering dust until I hear that.
If you want, I'll borrow it so I can play Forza. I mean, I'd take it off your hands. No.
Just international shipping, it's fine.
No, I'll just go out to Costco. They keep dropping the prices on these Xbox Ones. I'm just going to have to pick one up already. They were selling them for Black Friday pricing. They had that same deal like 2 weeks ahead of time for whatever reason. The Xbox One did outsell the PS4 for the first time. It outsold it during Black Friday because you could get an Xbox One, Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and like a $50 gift card for $330.
Yeah.
Like, it was a pretty crazy deal. And Sony, all they were offering was like, I think The Last of Us and Grand Theft Auto 5 with the PS4 for $400.
No, briefly, there were Newegg had a deal for $350. It sold out in about 2 hours. And okay, quick fun Black Friday story. I wish Joel was here for this one because the day before we left for Thanksgiving break at work, he was begging me on Skype to get a PS4, which is not just the PS4. It's the PS4, a year of PlayStation Plus, the game that he wants to play, which for Joel is every new game. He has to have the new game to play with
on both platforms.
Someone. On PC and PS4. I'm like, Joel, like, I'm looking at it at least $500 plus whatever else you want me to spend in the spring. I'm like, I already have a computer that I use for 3D and for YouTube and stuff that is pretty great. And so Black Friday rolled around, and it came down to a choice between that Newegg deal for the PS4 for $350 or a mono-price 1440p IPS screen. And for those of you that have watched the podcast live before, you might notice that my camera is a little bit taller this week. One guess what I went with. I told Joel, I'm like, I'm sure I would have fun on the PS4. I don't hate consoles. It's just that for me, I would not get the value for my money out of it at all. Like I would... Yeah, just,
you
I
say
wouldn't.
that, but you just bought that monitor, and you're already talking about getting another 970. So you're going to be like $900 into this whole deal.
That
like,
was always a long-term plan,
you won't
though.
get any value. Yeah, but you're going to get more graphics cards in 2 years. You're not going to have those 970s. Don't pretend.
This happened last year too, though. Okay, value for the money. Joel gave me an old Xbox 360 that he had, and he bought like 4 copies of which Halo was it that came out? Was it Reach last year? Was that 2 years ago?
No,
4
Reach
came out.
is really old.
Okay, it came out 2 years ago.
You see how outdated I am. He bought like 4 copies of Halo 4 and gave me one of them, and then like 2 free Xbox month cards. And so he gave me the console, the game, and like a month of free time. And I played like 4 or 5 times in the month that he gave me the free time for. And then it was time to pay for Xbox Live, and I was like, Joel, I really appreciate it, but why don't you see what GameStop will give you for Halo 4?
Xbox Live is cheap though. Okay, it still is a pretty good value because you could get a used Xbox 360 now for like $100, and you can get a year of Xbox Live for like $35.
I wasn't playing it that much though.
It's reasonable.
Joel wasn't playing it that much either. Like he would play it maybe once a week, and then like I couldn't always make it to when they were all playing it, and so I'm just like, it's not worth it. That's just how I am though. I'm a little bit unique in that.
I think that kind of value analysis is a little bit of a false one anyway, though. Like, this is a bit of a tangent, but I was actually chatting to my friend the other day about games as opposed to other entertainment mediums. And if you think about how much you pay to go to the cinema to watch a film, and it's like $10 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
for a ticket, and then like if you want to get food or whatever, there's like the whole experience, as opposed to like $50 for like a AAA, $60 for a AAA game. Like, and I've played. There are games that I've put so many hours into that I've so got my money's worth on them. Like it's like some of the old Call of Duties, like CS:GO. I bought for like £5 on Steam, and I've got like 300 hours in it.
Oh yeah, yep.
It's like, I don't know, and I think like it looks expensive to buy a 970 for about. Well, I don't know how much it is in dollars, like $350 or something.
Yeah, about that.
It's 300 now. It's already dropped. Even though they're still
for the
in
reference ones. Reference ones are about $300.
You make me so sad. Like the currency conversion between the US and the UK is such bullshit on technology.
Our currency is
it's
just
like $300 and it's like £290. I'm like, that's not the exchange rate, guys.
Yeah, that's not how that works at all.
What's the exchange rate right now? Like 1.5 still?
Yeah, probably like 1.5, 1.6, yeah.
Huh. Sorry. Oh, sorry. My smile's a little too big.
Doesn't it favor the pound, though?
The pound is worth more. Like 290 pounds would be like, what, $430?
Okay, so you were saying, sorry, about the 970
it favors
price.
the pound.
You underpay, or we overpay. Massively.
Right. Okay, I
not
got
as
you.
much as other European countries where they're
if you were trading $1 million of one for $1 million of the other, you'd want to be trading to pounds for sure. But when you're buying things with the pounds, dollars our currency's weaker. Suck it.
In the US,
just to put a cap on the potato masher for this week, the reason behind it is we do think PC gaming is one of the best values out there. Yes, if you buy a $2,000 gaming computer and buy AAA games as soon as they come out, you will spend a ton of money. But we bet you can spend $350 to maybe $400 if you need to get a Windows code. Mm-hmm. You can, on a computer, you're probably going to buy a computer at some point anyway. Most people own a computer of some kind. So for the same money as getting a crappy laptop, you can build a computer. And this is a pretty easy to build computer. You can build a computer and you can buy a bunch of $5 Steam games, and you can game after your initial investment of $400. You can game for like $30 a year if you're a little bit patient on amazing indie games or whatever else. Or spend as much as 2 AAA console games. Spend $120 and you could probably have 12 to 15 good games if you buy them in sales.
If not more.
It's not even that. It's not even
value.
the indie games on Steam and that kind of thing. Now, I actually thought
No,
when
you
I
get
first
AAA
heard
games
you,
for $5.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I usually get AAA games for half what they cost on consoles, at least. Like, if you use places like G2A and like, you can easily get half the price, and that's why when I first heard you guys and Joel like talking about this on the show a few weeks back, I thought, well, you're being very easy on him with this because you're not factoring in the cost of games. Well, personally, I would give you $100 more to spend on the machine because you will easily make that back in the period that you're talking about.
Well, actually,
on games
Dave and I were
prices.
talking about it. For an extra $100, we aren't sure we could make this that much better. Like, we could make it better,
You
but
can get another 4 gig of memory for $100.
We could. We would definitely get that, and we'd get an SSD. But that'd be more for our day-to-day usability than probably the
games,
actual. Yeah, like if we got a $250 graphics card, the frame rates aren't going to be like that much better, most likely, because like the CPU is going to bottleneck them. If we get a better CPU, something else might bottleneck. And CPUs don't evolve that quickly. If you're buying the normal Intel quad core, they just put out a 10% faster version every 2 years, and they've been doing it for like 7 years now. And it's not a bad system, but like if we wanted to actually have significantly better performance, I think we'd have to go up to like $500. So I don't. I mean,
maybe you can have the other 50 for the fact that console games are usually much more well optimized. So they're gonna obviously. I mean.
Well, and that was
there's no
Joel's
room
argument.
to go beyond the 30 FPS or whatever, but you're definitely going to get the 30
That used to definitely be the
FPS.
case. That definitely used to be the case. But honestly, most of the AAA games that have come out this year, I don't think you can look at the console versions and say, "See, that runs so much better than the PC versions." Usually, it's they're both broken, just in different special fun
not counting
ways.
Ubisoft games
or EA games.
Okay, not counting Ubisoft, EA.
Call of Duty runs great on both
Was
platforms.
Destiny okay?
It isn't on the PC. But it ran decently well, yes. It ran pretty well. It didn't look amazing, but it ran pretty well.
Yeah, it ran pretty well for me. I actually enjoyed Destiny. Like, I think it got a lot of hate. But
I enjoyed it when it was the only game I owned, but then Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, and I just waved bye-bye and put it on eBay.
Well, I'm waiting for that on PC, so...
Me too. I am going to triple dip. I bought it on the PS3, sold it as soon as I beat it. I bought it on the PS4, and I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it as soon as it comes out on the PC.
And the great part is that Joel is trying to claim that, once again, Joel, the person who buys every new game based off of hype on multiple platforms, is claiming that he won't be buying GTA 5 on PC with the rest of our group. I'm like, yeah, Joel. Let's just wait till that first night. Yeah. We're going to all be playing, and he's going to sign on and be like, all right, guys, download's almost done. And just head down.
I think getting faster internet has really made Joel weak. Like, the temptation is there. It's just like, I could do it. I could do it right now, and I could have it in like 10 minutes. Which is another thing. Okay, I have fast internet. Not amazing internet. I have 50 down, 50 up. 50 megabit down, 50 megabit up. I'm not complaining. It's good internet, especially for what I pay for it.
Yeah, you don't want to get on this road. I'll start complaining.
Which means I can download Steam games it's not uncommon for me to get a game installed in 15 minutes max. I set up my PS4 in my office last night and was like, I will download some of these free PlayStation Plus games I'm getting. And it was downloading them at like 1.5 megabytes a second. Less than 10 feet from my router. What is up with the PlayStation Network? Like,
I can assure you it's exactly the same on Xbox One.
When you guys know
Halo
what's happening,
Master
right?
Chief Collection home, it was going at like a snail's pace would be generous.
But some of these games are like 50 gigs. Some of these next-gen games, like, what are people leaving their... Because you can't do anything else while it's doing it, really.
No, Jeremiah, what's happening is you guys are having to share the network with all the hackers on Sony's network. You gotta share the bandwidth with all the hackers. you can't all fit in the network at the same time. I mean, those tax documents aren't going to transfer.
That's the problem you're running into with your North Korean VPN you've got going over there. You have to share room with all the actual North Korean hackers.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's got something to do with that the human eye can only see 24 FPS. I'm sure it's got something to do with it.
No, Jeremiah, just for you guys, I got tired of hearing the complaints, and it was a little annoying. I turned off the auto join VPN.
Thank you.
It doesn't boot on launch
Everyone
anymore.
who likes ping under 300 milliseconds appreciates that.
My ping was
Look how
actually
clear-
always great. It's like the home network stuff was what would freak out.
Yeah. So, anyway, we start the podcast as we always do with the news. We're going to blaze through the news tonight because we have a decent amount of news and then we have a lot of mail. You guys send in a ton of mail. Thank you very much. So, who's
stop,
ready
guys.
to roll? All right. Yeah, don't stop. We appreciate you. We're going to read your questions very quickly and give you hastily thought up answers. First bit of news. Hey, Dave, guess what? You have the time codes this week. Woo!
That'd be great if I were actually marking the time.
Dang nabbit. All right. Number one. Windows 10 is going to have NKV.
What are you, Elmer Fudd?
It's going to have NKV and FLAC support. Okay, so if you have Windows, like most people do, you hate the fact that Windows Media Player doesn't play anything well and it lags a bunch and doesn't have support for modern codecs and yada, yada, yada.
That's what VLC is for, though.
Well, yeah, it is, and I install VLC like first thing, but I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't mind it if it just supported it out of the box, especially since these formats have been around for, I don't know, a decade. So Windows 10 is going to have MKV and FLAC support right out of the box. And
mainstream bands are pushing FLAC releases too now. Like it's not uncommon.
Well, now the internet speeds have gotten good enough that like FLAC is actually commonly accepted. I still don't understand why MKV is so popular. I've been doing comparison rips on Handbrake of Blu-rays between MKV and MP4, and honestly, for the size, MP4 looks perfectly fine. Like, I'm not getting any real noticeable differences. Watching on my projection, I'm not getting any noticeable differences at 100 inches between MP4 and MKV on the same bit rate. Dave, what are you dropping on the desk?
Not money.
All right.
I spent all that on the screen.
Is that some of my Ubisoft money?
Wrong address on the check.
So, next thing.
Wait, I was going to point out a trend here in Windows is that Microsoft appears to be finally looking outside of the box to third-party applications and just stealing features, which I think is a good thing. Windows 8 had the better task manager and the better Explorer for transferring files and stuff like that. Now we're getting better media support. It's nice that you don't have to have so many third-party applications like required to do so many common things on these newer versions of Windows. Because for the stuff that I do, like I would need to install a bunch of applications, and I probably would anyway, being I guess what you'd call it like a power user to use the programs that I want. But for people that might be running into FLAC downloads for their albums, it's just going to work. So yeah, I'm definitely noticing a trend of Microsoft just like finally noticing that people are doing.
They're getting better, guys. They're getting better.
The task manager, like it was one of the dumbest things to get excited about in Windows 8. But I love all of the CPU breakdowns, the hard drive activity. Like you had to dig into the administration panel in 7 to find your hard drive activities. And I generally have my page file thrashing away. So I like being able to track that down. But it's like, how long did it take them to update Task Manager? Like 9 years?
Yeah. All right. Next thing.
Microsoft.
Yeah. So everyone who listens to the podcast a lot knows that I am not necessarily an AMD fanboy. I have certainly owned more AMD products than anyone else on the podcast on a regular basis.
You're an AMD researcher on the team.
Yes. My R9 290 is a fantastic performer, especially for what I paid for it. And when my 970 burned up after 3 days and I sent it back, I popped my 290 back in. I've been running happily on it ever since because Newegg, even though they said they had proved my RMA and they were mailing me another one for the crazy good price I bought it for, 5 days later decided to just refund me the sale price, and I can't get another one for that much money. So fantastic. So
you
anyway,
can get it
I'm
for
enjoying
less pretty soon though.
Yeah, probably, but I'm enjoying my R9 290 because it's just as fast. So I'm just going to stick with it and save my money for, quite possibly, the R9 390X, which has allegedly been leaked, and the benchmarks look fantastic. If there's anything AMD is great at, it's not driver support, but it is awesome performance for the money. Not awesome heat for the money, but their new card, the code name supposedly is Captain Jack. And the leaked benchmarks put it at about 15% faster than a GTX 980.
It's a nice bump right there.
That is not a bad bump at all. And the power consumption is actually lower than a GTX 780. It's not as low as a 970 or 980. The TDP is supposedly 197 watts compared to an R9 290X, which is 200.
Very specific there.
I'm reading their charts. The R9 290X used 279 watts, and the Captain Jack card is 197 compared to a GTX 980, which is 185, and a GTX 970, which is 167. which let's give NVIDIA props again. 167 watt TDP on a 970. That is nuts. I have a 650 watt power supply, and I could comfortably run dual 970s. Comfortably.
No, wait, did someone say dual 970s?
You've said it several times lately. Mostly talking about your budget for the year. So yeah, I'm excited. It's supposed to be coming out early 2015. I might get a 970 again if R9 390X isn't amazing, or I might just get an R9 390X to run my 4K monitor. We'll see how well my 290 does on it. But
I hope it does well, because I heard that over Black Friday and fall sales, not AMD, NVIDIA has taken almost 75% market share on graphics cards.
Who has?
NVIDIA. I heard it's close to 75% now, that's not good for consumers.
Whoa.
It's not. That's the problem. I don't know why the perception still exists that AMD has bad driver support, lots of crashes, lots of issues. I've had a Radeon 4890, 6870, 7950, 7950 Crossfire, and now a 290. And honestly, the only issues I've ever run into were with Crossfire, and they were the same issues Dave always ran into with SLI. Mm-hmm. I think AMD's driver support has gotten much better, and I've never had one of their cards die on me.
Fresh out of the box from one of the best manufacturers and one of the most trusted retailers.
All I'm saying. So I don't know why, and usually for the money they are a way better deal. So I still don't get why NVIDIA is the best still. It's not like with their processors. Intel's processors are better. They just are. Not for the money, because Intel doesn't make good gaming processors in the $100 to $150 range, and AMD does. But for $200 and up, Intel definitely wins at processors. AMD just doesn't really play in their field. But for graphics cards, they're really competitive, and I don't get why they don't get their due. But, oh well.
It's the green, dude. Everyone prefers green. Look at Razer.
Yeah, they're still buying their products for some stupid reason.
Yep.
Speaking of Razer, I need to do that video where I talk about why I'm no longer buying Razer products, because I've had 2 of their best mice die of left-click failure in 2 years.
By Corsair, I've noticed I've slowly been replacing like everything I have with Corsair peripherals, and they're great.
I'm a Logitech guy on that count. I've slowly realized that I own way too many Logitech things.
There's audio, obviously you can't hear it, but after my experience with Razer over the last few years, I just finally switched to a G502, and it is fantastic.
I have liked most Logitech things I've had.
This headset is amazing.
Is that the 930?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have been tempted to get one of those for my console, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. But I hear really good things about it. Yeah.
Is there a console version? Because this isn't compatible with a console.
I believe it is. There's ways to make the USB dongle work with it. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's officially supported.
Teach me your ways.
Well, I just reading on the PS4 subreddit, I found a list where people were compiling headsets and which ones worked and which ones didn't, and I believe the 930 did work.
I bet you it doesn't work for Xbox One though.
No promises, but I believe that was on the list as like maybe it doesn't have surround sound, maybe it's just stereo. I'm not sure, but I believe it did work. Sony has really improved their support. Yeah, I would check into it. Go ahead and feel free to zone out now and read about that since you look excited.
Just glaze over.
Okay, so our next bit of news is the Crew's lead designer predicts a smooth and successful launch. I'm trying not to laugh while I read this.
In other news, the Mayans predicted the end of the world last year.
Okay, so Ubisoft has had 3 major releases this year: Watch Dogs, Far Cry 4, and Assassin's Creed Unity. 2 of them were borderline unplayable when they came out, and one of them was just merely kind of bad for most people. So Unity was so bad. Unity was so bad that I'm just going to combine these 2 news items. Unity ran so poorly that the publishers canceled sales of their Seasons Pass and said the DLC is going to be free because they're so sorry. That's how sorry they are. Ubisoft is passing up on selling DLC, which I think they care about more than actually making games if you've played any of their recent games. Like you run up to chests in Assassin's Creed, it's like, you must download this app to open this chest. And I'm like, you must go screw yourself because I'm never going to do that. So they said, for the crew, we've reaped the benefits of a long-term beta program, which they did do. Designed specifically to push our infrastructure as far as possible in real-world situations with thousands of players from all over the world playing the game at the same time. Sirkin Hassan, the game's lead designer, told The Metropolist. The launch of any online game these days has potential issues, but I hope that players will be encouraged by our open approach. If you had any doubts we could pull this off, I hope that the beta has proved our credentials and the game's stability. So, showing how confident they are in this process, Ubisoft has not let reviewers have access to the game until launch day, and any reviews running that day, they've warned people to not listen to launch day reviews because they won't be accurate. Lots of confidence, guys. So, I will say, though, I played in one of the betas, and it did run pretty well, but...
Is it not out yet? I thought it was already out.
The crew? Did it just come out this week? I think, yeah, it just came out this week.
Okay.
But
yeah,
so
I
the
was
reviews
there.
most outlets have gone to reviews in progress, so they're working on their reviews right now, but they're not out yet. Hold on 1 second.
I honestly feel like in 2014, there's no excuse for not having a beta for a multiplayer-based game when it's been clearly demonstrated that even when you do have it, like even with a beta, Battlefield 4 sucked major.
Everything. It's everything.
It was sucking everything
in all ways. Halo, obviously. I think beta is a requirement, and now with people like Total Biscuit and other big YouTubers, a lot of the big YouTubers tend to just go along with whatever the developers want. And they don't really want to kick up too much of a fuss. But you have someone like TB who is very, very steadfast in his worldview.
The man has cancer. He's not messing around anymore.
He's like, I don't really give a shit about your game, to be honest. Like, I'm helping you here by promoting it. But yeah, I don't think you can get away with trying to sneak it in without giving review copies away and that kind of thing either. I think that's becoming pretty unacceptable these days.
It's a giant red flag when a developer announces they're not going to provide review copies. Like, if you just didn't say anything and just, it got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a lot farther by not making it a big deal, because most news outlets probably aren't going to they're not going to make a special news item just for, hey, we haven't got a review copy yet. But if you tell them, we're not giving you a review copy, they're going to feel the need to mention that, because that almost all the time means that the game sucks. At least it's going to suck at launch. That's why they're not giving you a review
confident
copy.
in it, at least.
Yeah. They're confident it's going to suck at launch. It doesn't mean the game is bad. It means that they know when it launches, the launch version has a lot of issues that they are furiously working on a patch for, and they don't want you playing the version. They want you playing the version that actually is out on launch day when you have to download a mandatory 1 gig patch to fix everything.
1 gig?
Well,
yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, it's actually one of the things that was a real shame about Shadow of Mordor, because that game is one of the few games that's come out this year that has been okay from launch. And everyone kind of gave it pretty good reviews. Everyone said that it was enjoyable, it was good, it's nothing particularly innovative, but it's a decent title. And the one thing that they really screwed up on with that was the whole, like, they had a really, really tough contract, like an NDA contract that you had to sign to get a review copy. That wouldn't allow you to talk about glitches or and you had to like promote the game and like a call to action to go and pre-order the game or something. And it was just like completely unnecessary paranoia on the part of the marketing company. Like they desperately
had a list
wanted
of
to make sure that
too you had to use. Like you had to talk about what was that, like, promotion system?
The Nemesis system. Like you had to promote that.
You have to call it this. You have to talk about these bullet points about it in the. Why?
And it was the one black mark on what otherwise would have been probably the best release of this year of a AAA title.
Someone who has a lot of power and is old went to the marketing department and said, I hear that the YouTube is really big for games these days. I would like this game to go viral. So if you could just make that happen.
Whatever that means.
I have some suggestions. And here, why don't you have all the people that work for us? Because I don't understand how YouTube works. Why don't you have all of these freelance employees talk about these things right here? Thank you very much.
Jimmy, I think you had a good point too about the beta testing. like modern games are so ridiculously complicated, and network infrastructure is so bad still, and you have these super complicated modern games that are trying to do all this crazy stuff over the network. Your comment reminded me of a post I saw on Reddit from a developer who didn't want to say which studio he worked for, but talking about netcode and stuff, and he's like, I want you guys to just think about all of the animations, the sound, the rendering, and all the stuff that games are doing, physics. And then he's like, when we're coding a game and the game is, you know, running through its routines, data that it gets from like memory, from the graphics memory and from the CPU, like that's good data. Like it's just doing its thing. And it's like, but when our game gets data over the network, like our game just assumes this data is crap. It is worthless. It's wrong. So it like... He's like, coding network stuff is all about like making the game good at estimating because like all the data is worthless. And so like with what games are trying to accomplish these days, you can't do it without large scale beta tests online. I don't think. I think you're 100% right on that.
But here's the thing: is games are trying to, I think, accomplish a lot of things that the average gamer doesn't really care enough about. Like Call of Duty is still successful because the core gameplay is still solid. Like, no, they don't have a super accurate physics system, and no, there aren't 700 guns with 35,000 different attachments, and no,
I wonder
you can't
which
open
game he could be talking
fancy
about.
golden briefcases that contain loot.
There it is.
Oh, you gave it away.
And no, like
Everyone
150 of your favorite friends can't play on a map the size of Texas where there's like giant tidal waves everywhere. But you know what you can do? You can connect to a game immediately and you can play at 60 FPS with no lag. That's what you can do. And as it turns out, that's what people are really interested in. Some people are like, wow, this simulation's amazing. And those people play ARMA.
Ooh.
Which doesn't have nearly as many desync issues, which is sad. A sad indictment of Battlefield 4.
There's a couple of things about that. BF4, I think, genuinely, the Frostbite... It's the Frostbite 3 engine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's version 3 point something at this point.
I genuinely don't think that it can handle what Battlefield 4 tried to achieve. Like all the like the synced waves, so that all the waves would be the same for everyone. Like I remember them making a huge deal out of that at E3 or something, and I was just at the time I was
who
thinking,
knows the difference? No one's gonna know.
Why? Like that's so pointless.
Jamie, did you hear?
Turns out they'd rather have that than actually be able to shoot people and you know have fun playing the game. And then the other thing that I heard recently was, I think it was someone from 343 was talking about, it was like, guys, I understand that you're like super mad about the Master Chief Collection, but just try and appreciate what we're trying to achieve here. We have 4 games running on different engines in the same multiplayer that we have to try and get like the whole matchmaking system to work on the Xbox Live network. And I was like, should have done a beta test, but I kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but that's not what you said. You said, hey guys, we're making this available so you can play this amazing game again. Yeah. Give us your money. So while I sympathize with you, I don't feel that sorry for you because you're still taking people's money and then going, but feel sorry for us, guys. It's hard. We know it's hard. That's why we're paying you.
Well said.
I can't resist this one too. Did you guys hear about when DICE actually got the water synchronization like functioning
No.
in 2013? That was like one of their core focuses for multiplayer, was getting that system in place. And apparently, I can't cite this, I don't remember where I heard it. It was like a year ago. They finally got it working 3.5 months before launch. Like the system was finally like functioning correctly. After all that focus on it, it was still so close to launch. It was 3.5-4 months ahead of the launch date.
Shame they couldn't spend a bit more time designing maps that were actually fun to play on.
They could have spent a lot more time on a lot of things. They could have spent roughly 1 extra year, and that would have seemed like that would have been about the right amount of time.
Guys, that's what DLC is for.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I actually was persuaded after. I took a lot of persuading, let me tell you, to I think I had to reinstall BF4 because I literally hadn't played it in so many months. And I went back on, and there's been all these patches, and the gunplay and everything, and the movement, it feels so much better than 6 months ago. It feels more like BF3, and it's great.
It's because they copied all the settings from BF3.
Suck. The game is still not fun. Like, I stopped playing after like half an hour because now I think it works now. I think that's fair to say. After a year, it now works. great, well done. But BF3 is still a miles better game, in my opinion.
Yeah, we agree.
It's just a shame. And they better not fuck up Battlefront, or I will murder them. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, then moving on. Seems like a good time to segue into our next news item. Steam Broadcasting was just announced this week, and this is a pretty cool idea. It's kind of funny this came out so closely, like such a short amount of time after the PlayStation SharePlay finally released, because there's such similar applications, and they have to have been developing them for a long period of time. So, they couldn't have just like seen that come out and were like, hey guys, we should make this. Get an intern on it. Like they've obviously been working on it for a little longer, but Steam Broadcasting is, it's not Twitch broadcasting built in, which may be coming someday, who knows. But if you see a friend in your friends list, it always says, hey, they're playing such and such game. You can click a button and click watch game. Now you have to opt into the beta. Your friend has to accept it. They can't just you can't just snoop on anyone who's on your friends list. But you can't take over your friend's computer like you can with SharePlay, but you can watch them playing, which I think is pretty cool, especially if you guys are like hanging out in TeamSpeak and you want to see what they're, hey man, this game is awesome, come take a look at it. Mm-hmm. Pretty similar to SharePlay or Twitch or anything else. Honestly, I think we might really use this because there's quite a few times where Dave and I have put a Twitch stream live just so one of us can show the other what's going on. And it's not that we have anything against you, valued viewers, but it's not always something we intend for everyone else to see. But that's really the only way we can share it with each other easily. So this might actually be useful. I'm kind of excited to try it.
Is there not going to be some kind of delay, though?
There's going to be a little bit of delay, yeah.
And I don't just mean like latency delay. I mean when you spectate someone on a competitive game, like when you can already go and watch your friends play Counter-Strike, but you're like 2 rounds behind them because obviously you can't be watching them in real time because then you could be like feeding information to the other team or whatever. In theory,
I'm assuming it'll be like Twitch where there's at least a couple seconds delay. I'm assuming, but we don't. It's in beta right now, so they haven't really like addressed the fairness issues. And I'm assuming I'm assuming something will pop up on your screen. So and so wants to watch you play. Is that cool? And you have to click accept. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you can't just start a CS:GO match with your friend and then click watch screen and just start sniping away.
Yeah, they have to accept. Yeah.
No, but I meant. No, sorry. Ignore my point. I've just realised that's not a equivalency because in CS:GO the reason why there's such a big delay is you can spectate the enemies as well.
Okay,
and obviously, if you're just watching your friend, then. Yeah, that doesn't apply. So yeah, that's actually really cool. Go Steam.
Yep. All right, that's all of the news. It's now time for the Singularity Shame segment, a section of the podcast where we highlight someone who just needs to be knocked down a notch or two. We had 2 awesome contestants this week. First, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 360 HD. Now, you could already buy San Andreas on the Xbox 360 on the Xbox Live Marketplace. They pulled that version because it was the standard def version, and they released the HD version, which is actually a port of the iPad version of San Andreas. Just roll with it.
Is this like one of those things where Minecraft on a phone has infinite worlds, but Minecraft on the 360 doesn't? Because your phone, it's got to the point where your phone is now more powerful than your 360.
It must be something like that, or they already had done all this work on the port and they were like, we could just move it over. Like, we don't have to... it'll be quicker. Well, here's a problem. I have a compiled list. I'm not going to read all of them because we don't have enough time. But here are just some of the reported bugs that thousands of people are experiencing. Audio cuts out randomly during cutscenes. Starting a mission may hardlock your system and require you to turn the console off. This may happen every time you load that save or only the first 3 times you try.
It's so specific.
Then.
Some miscellaneous mission attempts, such as dancing on the beach, are literally impossible. Even if you do a perfect run, you'll get too low of a score to pass. Save games become corrupt, and upon loading will never progress past the initial loading screen. Some characters have no eyes. Right trigger... Okay, guys, here's one of the best ones. Right trigger aims, left trigger shoots.
Oh, no.
What? Bike controls are now digital, which means you're accelerating as fast as you can or not pedaling at all. Car controls are also digital, full acceleration or no acceleration. The radio stations break randomly. Many songs were removed for copyright reasons. Some stations will repeat a song 3 times, skip all commercials, or play DJ outros immediately after playing their intros, or not play anything.
I think I would lose it if I heard that in game. Like, DJ so-and-so here. Welcome to the show. All right, guys, have a good night. Like, all right, well, turn the radio off, I guess.
Auto jump was brought over from the iPad version. This means if you run near a wall, roof, or other obstacle, your character will automatically climb it, whether or not you want him to.
No.
That sounds fantastic.
Also from the mobile version, you can't move the camera while you're flying. Also, sometimes the sky will disappear. The pause menu takes 2 to 5 seconds to load. You can only access the map via the pause menu.
That's awful.
So I'm imagining someone downloading this game, spawning in, and there's just a load of like eyeless characters wandering around in a skyless, apocalyptic world of just awful despair, and then their console just crashes.
As the radio loops over and over again.
Thanks, Rockstar.
I don't want to be the token old guy here.
That was great.
But I bought San Andreas and played it on my PlayStation 2. Never got any patches because it was never hooked up to the internet. Bought the disc, popped it in, played it for well over a year. The only issue I ever had, I had one corrupted save, and that could have been the memory card, who knows. But, like, that's it. Never had any of these issues.
That's when games were made to actually work without patching.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
I do too. I mean, I like issues being able to be fixed, but I also like being able to play games when they launch. Our next bit of the Singularity Shame segment is Dave's item. Dave, what's up with Microsoft this week?
I don't have a link for this, so I'm just going to summarize based on the article that I read yesterday because I forgot to drop the link into our research document. But a couple of indie devs on Twitter who had games on, what's the Xbox indie marketplace called? The one on 360?
I actually use my Xbox so little that I don't even know.
I have an Xbox 360 and I don't think I've ever loaded up the thing you're talking about it because I have no idea.
The indie game marketplace on Xbox Live, whatever it's called. Okay. Some of the devs were like, so we haven't gotten paid for like this quarter yet. And there was some talk about the contracts, which apparently Microsoft has a thing where at the end of the 2-month billing cycle or quarter billing cycle, whatever it is, they then have an extra 45 days to deliver payment after that. That's a nice big wiggle room for Microsoft. Well, no one's gotten paid of the people who are issuing these complaints since like July. It's like super, super late. So this went around the news cycle over the last couple days. You know, a lot of indie devs started talking back and forth and realizing that they were all in the same boat together, and Microsoft just has not been sending out paychecks at all for their games that have been selling. And the reason that I have added them to the Singularity Shame segment is because of their final response yesterday. Microsoft posted like a forum post in the indie forums and said, guys, we've identified an issue with our payment system, usual corporate...
It's called forgetting.
Yeah. It's called human error. But their response was, don't worry, we found the issue and payments should be delivered within about 2 weeks. So like after all that, still maybe 2 weeks you'll get paid. So maybe by Christmas your kids might get some food. So
Did
that's why I
someone
added
from Machinima go and work there or something?
Oh.
I'm allowed to say that because I'm still partnered with them.
Yeah,
so
I know those feels.
But yeah.
So that's been the Singularity Shame segment. If anyone ever hears of anything that you really think needs to be hauled in front of a crowd and beaten to death, send it in to us. We'd love to take a look at it. It's now time for mail time. Dave, sing the song.
We actually managed to not include Ubisoft.
Wow.
They were not in this segment. That is correct. The only Ubisoft news was somewhat kind of positive this week. They're confident that the crew will launch well, and they're giving away Assassin's Creed DLC, and they patched 300 bugs.
Well, this is why. Did anyone buy an Ubisoft game this week?
Delusion and finally making up for their horrific
PR, spin, outright lies, penny pinching, token kindness.
They just have a big wheel that they spin in the Ubisoft head offices. Like, which one will it be today? 30 FPS.
I like how
is
Joel
cinematic.
is still excited. He's like, the Division's going to be so amazing. And I'm like, based on what evidence?
I'm so nervous. Like, okay, the only hope that I still have for the Division, I've been saying this for like a year now, is that Ubisoft Massive is the studio producing it. Those guys have a 100% perfect, impeccable track record.
So did DICE.
Oh, my hopes.
And it's gone.
Because actually, what I was going to say, Jeremiah, was they had a perfect, impeccable track record. Ground Control series, World in Conflict, and releasing the expansion pack to World in Conflict on their own with no publisher. Like, they finished the game on their own. Great track record. Promptly followed by, guess which publisher bought them after they finished the World in Conflict expansion? Ubisoft. They're not Massive Entertainment anymore. They're Massive Ubisoft. So their track record up to the point of being purchased by Ubisoft was perfect.
I feel like there's so many potential jokes with massive
soft.
Once the game releases and it's awful, like I'm gonna have a field day.
Yeah,
I'm so nervous. I want it to be good.
I'll start writing them now in anticipation.
I'm not nervous because The Witcher 3 is coming out about that time, and CD Projekt Red gives a crap about their consumers. All right, it is now time for mail time. Like Dave, sing the song.
Mail time.
All right, our first bit of mail.
Quite sensual.
As Joel usually does it, so it has to be.
Dave couldn't quite hit that octave. I'll try. Mail time.
Not bad.
Cookie wrote in to casualshenanigans@gmail.com, just like you can, to be a part of the show. Hi, CSG. I got a new PC about 4 months ago. I thought I got everything, but I forgot a CPU cooler. The one I have is a stock cooler, and it sucks.
I just imagine him sitting there like, wait, why is my case smoking? Is that normal?
Now, I think what you should have said, the one you have is a stock one, and it blows. But
there we go.
I use an i7 4770, and then it gives me the rest of his specs, and none of them matter because
Jeremiah, you see the stock cooler blows?
Mm-hmm. That's the joke I made.
Oh, that was the joke.
That was the joke. Thank you, hype man, for reiterating for me.
15 seconds late to the party.
I'm here to push that joke forward, but it's already dead.
You're like, hey guys, there's this dead horse over here. Has anyone seen this thing?
Yeah, it's called Ubisoft's Games.
No, that horse is being shoved out of its mother's womb, legs broken, just screaming to me, please, I'd rather be glue. I'd rather be glue.
It's got really dark all of a sudden.
Wow, that
shoot a horse, guys.
Really quickly.
You think slap a seal's bad? Shoot a horse. Make it happen. So anyway, he has an i7 4770. Okay, you should get the Cooler Master Hyper 212 cooler. If you don't need water cooling and you're not doing insane overclocking, you need a Hyper 212 Evo because it's $30. I overclocked my 3570K to 4.5 gigahertz. Runs great. If you want to hear like, oh, but can it go better than that? Mark, who plays DayZ with us, you've probably heard him on various things. We got his 4670K to boot at 5.2 gigahertz running on a Hyper 212. It got hot. We backed it down, but it booted at 5.2 gigahertz. We were scared at that point, like hands trembling as we logged in. Like it feels like you're spitting in the face of God. Like this shouldn't happen. But anyway,
it's gone too far.
Hyper 212 Evo or Hyper. There are a bunch of different Hyper 212s. They're all basically the same. Get one of them. They're $30. Okay, next, RC Platt wrote in. Hello guys, I wanted to get some input on the hardware I'm thinking of getting for my build. He is getting Windows 8.1, a GTX 760, 8 gigs of RAM, and an AMD A8 6600K. And he wants to know what do we recommend. I know it's uncommon to have an AMD CPU and an NVIDIA graphics card, but I'm trying to keep costs down. Thank you for your time, and I hope to get feedback. Now, I'm going to double check really quick. Which one is the A8 6600K? Okay, that is a budget quad-core 3.9 gigahertz socket FM2 100-watt desktop processor, retails for $100. That's not bad, but here, I'm going to go to Anand Tech real quick. I'm going to compare something. Dave, vamp for a minute about budget CPUs.
Yeah, because I know about budget CPUs, the person with a hexacore.
All right, braggart. I just need you to vamp, okay?
Mr. I can talk about Dave with his soon-to-be SLI 970s and whatever monitor you got.
I always joke
1440p.
Yeah, I always joke that I like nice things, but I'm also cheap. I have a hexacore, but I bought it used through the Amazon Marketplace. Like, I can't quite bring myself to go all the way. That's why I hear
first. Dave can't go all the way.
2014.
What else you get? Keep talking.
No, I just wanted to end it right there on that comment. Just boom, podcast right there. Cut to black.
All right. What the heck? They got rid of a bunch of things. I'm looking on... oh, here it is. Okay. Hold on one second. Just doing a quick comparison. I think the A8 6600K may not be the best processor to get for the money. It is a quad core, but AMD's quad cores are not the greatest in the world. Yeah, okay. You're going to want to get an FX 6300. Its stock speed is 3.5 gigahertz, but it's a 6-core. It retails for like $15 more. You can easily overclock it to 4.5 gigahertz. It will perform better. Everything else there you've listed is fine, and it's not that uncommon to get an AMD CPU and NVIDIA graphics card necessarily. I mean, lots of people do stuff like that. No problem there, but I would not get an A8 6600K for that money because you can do a little bit better. But that's not a bad build overall. It's a pretty well-balanced build. You probably wouldn't have any problems. All right, next bit of news is from Tommy. Hey guys, love the podcast and the high quality of your content across the channels. Long-time listener, hope to donate soon to the Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/casualshenanigans Plug.
You too can support the Potato Masher.
You too can feed the Potato Masher. I recently listened to a past podcast where Joel mentioned the PS Vita and a BioShock game for it, which was mentioned 2 E3s ago. He had a Vita himself, and he found it severely underwhelming, the video they showed off of BioShock, which never actually materialized onto the system, as far as I know. He said he found it extremely underwhelming, but he wishes they would go ahead and release something. And then another section, if we have time. He's served time in the British Army and would like to know Dave's preferred issued rifle among countries. He had the opportunity of firing many assortments on an open day and found the Yank M4 is pretty good against the British SA-80, among others. Thank you for the fantastic content. I hope it continues. Dave, what is your preferred issued rifle? While acknowledging that you're not in the military and have only shot some of them, you do know a lot about this subject. So what is your preferred?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm only a suburban operator. I actually have not protected the local malls or fought in Afghanistan. Actually, I would just say sufficient data not available because I've only ever fired AR platforms. I actually have never even fired a battle rifle before. Like no AR-10s, no M14s even. I would love to fire an M14. That's like one of my life goals. I like the AR platform, but I mean, everyone knows it. ARMA Light invented it in the late 50s, early 60s. Everyone knows what it can do. Yeah, I can't think of any other like assault rifle class rifles I've actually tried besides the AR platform. So I really can't decide. I mean, I can't choose if I haven't tried.
But based on evidence that is available, I think if you were going to pick like what's the ultimate assault rifle, I think like the only across the board win would probably be the AK platform because it has a giant meaty round and you know it's one of the most reliable things there is, and it shoots a really big bullet and anyone can fix them but they'll never break.
Anyone can shoot them too.
Anyone can shoot them. Like it's a pretty awesome gun as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, I'm going to bring up an article I read a couple days ago.
You're going to bring it up quickly.
Yeah.
I heard you're shifting onto your storytelling.
Yeah.
Side of your seat.
I'm going to get my blanket, my mug of coffee. Let me tell you. Colin Noir, who has a YouTube channel all about guns and stuff, wrote a really great article talking about pistols and how he does a lot of pistol reviews and stuff like that, and he gets called out frequently because he's a very well-dressed guy, and he actually puts a lot of emphasis on the aesthetics of the guns that he buys. Like he spends a lot of time like looking at how the grips look and feel and how the slide looks and feels, and people give him a hard time about it, but he's like, guys, it's 2014. Modern guns are reliable and they're accurate. Like to get a bad gun, you have to go for like a $78 high point for your probably drugstore robbery.
Man,
no, seriously, it's something like.
But yeah.
It's like 60% of high points that are purchased are used in a crime at some point. it's pretty bad.
No one dies. They jam pretty quickly, but...
and they weigh 19 pounds for the pistol.
And they look intimidating when you're waving them around.
But yeah, like we're at to a point now where kind of like a lot of computer hardware where it's not so much like what's like the amazing option, the most reliable. It's like it's so much of it is preference at this point because reliability and accuracy for firearms is not really an issue anymore. But it was a really cool article.
And also, all the people that talk about reliability, you know who the only people who really need to care about reliability are? the military, and not most of them, because a lot of them don't really get to shoot their guns that often. Like, every time you hear someone in home defense talking about stopping power, reliability, and everything else, I'm like, dude, you're a weekend urban warrior. Just get over it.
Like, I think reliability is important for two reasons for homeowners.
There's no reason not to buy a reliable weapon if you can compare them, but they're all so reliable that the margin of error is so insignificant. You're not gonna break it through normal operation.
But why it's important, like why you should actually emphasize it, is because for a lot of people, firearms aren't a hobby, not a huge interest. They're like something you buy for home defense and put in a safe, or hopefully a safe somewhere, and don't mess with it. So you want it to be reliable just because it's probably not going to be well maintained. So you want that reliability to be extra good and reliable, just because a lot of people just don't take the effort to take care of them. And I would say for civilian use too, if you're a competition shooter, reliability is important.
That's true.
So some competition, like even doing like a 3-gun casual competition, like rifle, shotgun, pistol, some of those guys are going to run their rifles harder than a lot of the guys in the military do, like as far as rounds down range go. You'll shoot 4,000 rounds in a 3-day weekend and then change your barrel afterwards. So it's not totally irrelevant, but yeah, I agree with you too. It's not like no one needs to be going on the internet and like writing gigantic forum posts about, you know, why they have to buy an H&K and there's no other option for them. That was quite the rabbit trail, but we haven't talked about guns in a while, so I'm okay with that.
All right, next bit of mail from Limorante. He says, hello again, guys. I thought I would drop you a quick hardware-related question. I've been running an EVGA GTX 760 for a good long while now. Hopefully it's a good card. We're about to find out. And I've been thoroughly impressed with its performance, but as we all know, the 9 series is out and all the cool kids are upgrading, so I figured I'd better follow suit. From the reviews I've read, the 970 looks to be a real seal slapper of a card, so I think that's the direction I'm going to head. I'm in the UK, so I'll be buying it from overclockers. Instincts tell me to go for the EVGA card, as my current EVGA is rock solid and has given me no issues, but rather than just jumping in and buying that, I figured I'd ask some guys in the know which of the 970s you'd recommend. Well, I think we could probably safely say we recommend the EVGA one because both Dave and I bought them. Now, mine did burn up very quickly, but to be fair, mine was a lemon, and lemons happen to everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, but EVGA has a solid reputation. Their 970 is on the cheaper side, and it's one of the better performing ones, so you probably can't go wrong with an EVGA. I do feel like I should also stick in there that the only motherboard I've ever had die on me was also an EVGA. But they have an excellent track record, so moving on.
If we're adding more evidence to the pile, the only motherboard that ever had actively catch on fire was an EVGA.
But didn't it work after that?
The motherboard?
Yeah.
No, a capacitor exploded and there were flames coming out of the top vent of my case. It did not work after that.
You still use the CPU?
No, it cooked the i7 930 100%.
I thought you still used some of the stuff that was in there.
No, it'll buff out. It'll buff out, man. It's
no.
fine. Solder or something.
Oh, the smell. The smell was so bad too. I can never forget that smell.
I bet it was.
It penetrated my nostrils and into my brain. This smell
acrid. That's what the word acrid was made.
Yeah, acrid.
For that smell.
It's soaking in my curtains and it was awful. But Newegg replaced the CPU. EVGA very apologetically and very quickly replaced the burned out motherboard. The part that kept on trucking and what blew my mind was my power supply, my Thermaltake 850. It not only survived the fire, it's now powered 2 full builds in the last 6 years since the fire. So Thermaltake power supplies, that's good stuff.
Nice.
Because the capacitor that exploded on the motherboard too was on the voltage regulator.
I don't know why this seems like such a dumb thing, but I've replaced everything in my build. The only original thing I have is my Corsair 650 watt power supply. It's just everything else, video cards, I don't care. I'll get another one. CPUs, don't care. You look at that power supply and you're just like, oh, faithful, I appreciate your many years of silent service. You keep on trucking, buddy.
Clean power. I mean, you buy a good power supply, and this one I think cost me $250 when I bought it. It was ridiculous. Bought it in 2007. You buy a good power supply from a respected manufacturer, and it will last and possibly save your computer from a fire.
Yeah, but everything else we've owned has lasted too. For the most part, we've just chosen to replace it. But you can't get more performance by buying a new power supply. That's what it is they perform basically the same. So, All right, his last bit of thing Limo had to say. If you ever want to head back to classic ARMA 2 DayZ for a bit of fun, I'm one of the admins over at thewalkingshenaris.com. We've got a variety of servers, and it'd be awesome to catch you guys in game sometime. We will entertain that as a possibility, but I read that out in the podcast because if anyone likes playing ARMA 2 DayZ, go check out thewalkingshenaris.com.
Is it vanilla or is it Epoch?
Honestly, I don't know.
Vanilla,
I briefly checked it out, and then that information I've completely forgotten in between when I checked it out and now. But yeah, if we almost got back into ARMA 2 DayZ a little while ago. If DayZ breaks again, if standalone breaks really bad again, you never know. I did play a little bit of ARMA 2 DayZ when it broke the last time, and I did enjoy it. I just had a hard time finding servers. So if it breaks and I'm looking to play ARMA 2 DayZ again, we will check out thewalkingshenaris.com first. Since you have recommended it, I'm assuming your servers are still up and running, but thank you for writing in, as always. All right. Our next bit of news. Hey all, Nixon here. I'm building my first custom PC and need help choosing a GPU for it. He lists his motherboard, but that's not relevant. For reference, I'd like the performance to be around at least that of a GTX 750. I'd like to stay at $200 or less. We'll budge higher if need be. Thanks for your help. Love your content. Keep up the good work, guys. Well, if you want to spend $200 or less, the fastest card you can get is a R9 290, which you can get for $200 on sale.
That's a good deal, honestly.
That is a
100% good deal. That's a really good deal.
That will fit in your case. If you want to stick with NVIDIA, you can get better than a GTX 750. You can get a GTX 760 for $200 or less. So buy that. All right. Next bit of mail.
Oh, congratulations, Jeremiah. You called it mail this time. You've been going to the list calling it news every single time.
I have?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Definitely the last two times. But,
sorry about
we
that,
definitely
everybody.
weren't sitting here silently judging you. It's fine.
Not at all.
All right. This one's from Traven Fallos, who writes in from time to time. He said, "Hey, guys, nice job being happy," in reference to last week's Happy Cast. I hope you enjoyed it. Not threatening or anything, just sincerely seeking your joy for the time being. Yeah. A few questions you guys can touch on if you want. Question number 1. Do you guys have any missions or games you'll play in DayZ on a regular basis, or is it mostly testing out new stuff and random encounters? Here's the problem. Every time we've gotten people together to play something in DayZ on a mass scale, like the 2 big subscriber events we had, the game can't handle it and it keeps crashing and servers go down and there's massive desync and it breaks. So that is kind of what keeps us from doing that for the time being, because the game just can't support it. So I guess I'd like to say, yes, we want to do more events like that. The game has to get to the point where we are confident that it's not going to give you guys a horrible time when you try to join us. And right now, that game we're more confident about is ARMA 3, which is why we tweet about, we're running about a mission a week, at least, a public mission that people can join. And we want you guys to come out and play that with us. For the moment, when DayZ is stable, we are definitely going to play more of that with you guys. But anyone who's come out to the other subscriber events knows it's just not a stable platform right now for large amounts of people. And we don't want everyone to have a miserable time. So
yeah, our 2 main points for both community events and DayZ, and also just playing it for stuff on our YouTube channels is the game's not finished yet, obviously, and we don't want to play a totally broken patch. It comes and goes, and we also don't want to completely burn out on the game before it's finished. Like, we want to still have adventures left for when everything is there in a giant stew of wonderful features that we're all hoping for. DayZ stew.
Our next, our last question he has is, do you think there will be a lot of mods when the standalone DayZ is released? If so, what kind of mods are you looking for? I know this is a very hypothetical question, but DayZ is a very early state still, and who knows what features will be in place when the release date rolls around. Still, dreaming is fun. Have a happy sort of time with these. Talk to you later. So what mods would you be looking for?
Are you asking us?
In general, yes.
I would expect to see tons of mods come out for DayZ, just because of there was no official mod support in the mod, and yet the amount of mods of the mods, I mean, it was insane. Then when Private Hive started branching off, you had DayZ Epoch, and then Breaking Point for ARMA 3 is now completely by itself. There a zombie modification in ARMA 3 that was originally in the mod for ARMA 2 was DayZ : Breaking Point, and now they're doing all their own artwork and code and whatnot, and becoming their own thing. So if the mod could start such a ridiculous amount of splinter groups, then standalone just being a base game is going to, I think, have the exact same effect.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't play the ARMA 2 version of DayZ, but wasn't it mods that added in like planes and helicopters and that kind of thing, or were they in by default?
The vanilla mod had 2 Hueys, helicopters per server, but no. Wait, were there planes? I can't remember. I don't think vanilla had any planes. If so, it was just like the one biplane or something like that.
Because I think I remember my friend telling me that planes were added in.
Probably.
Mod. But that's the kind of thing that I'd like. More vehicles, I think.
Yeah. And there's no reason, like, there'll probably be splintered off versions like Breaking Point and Overwatch and stuff, where when you download them, you will get, probably someone will port in all the ARMA 2 vehicles, all the ARMA 3 vehicles, all the weapons. Like, you'll probably be able to get all that in the final release if you want to. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, if they get all the features they want to get working, I don't know if I'm going to be missing a ton of features, but if someone comes up with some cool ones, I'd be down to try them. So
yeah. Especially if it has workshop support, which was not a thing when the DayZ mod was out.
Yeah.
That would be good.
That would be nice. All right, our last bit of our last mail item, almost messed up again. Is from Ben. And I'm going to paraphrase your email a little bit, Ben, because it's very long, but we're still going to get to the core of the question. Hey guys, love the podcast and love the 18 different ways Joel pronounced my name after I supported you guys on Patreon. I'll have to find some way to use it in my daily life, maybe a text message notification sound or something. Anyway, at the moment I'm running 3 different moderate PCs. I'm looking to possibly upgrade one in the future. His primary is a Sager laptop that's hooked up to 2 external monitors and an external keyboard and mouse. The specs of his Sager laptop, it has Windows 7, an i7-2720QM, which is a 2.2 gigahertz quad core, a GTX 485M, 8 gigs of RAM, and one SSD that's 500 gigs and one 7200 RPM mechanical drive. That's a Sager laptop. That's what he's using as his primary. It's technically upgradable, but it's cumbersome and expensive. His second computer is a Windows Surface Pro, which he can't upgrade. And actually, I want to talk to you about that, Ben, because I have been getting pretty interested in a Surface Pro because I feel like I could condense a couple things down and use a Surface Pro and really enjoy it. So I may talk to you about that later. The final computer is the one he's most likely going to upgrade. It's a home theater computer. It's plugged into his TV and his 4 terabyte external hard drive. He's played a few little games on it, like The Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us. They run decent, but he wants to step up to higher end games. Okay, here is the core of the question. He's looking for upgrades that he can do in the future that wouldn't be too crazy expensive. He doesn't want to spend over $800. He wants to do a significant performance upgrade, and he wants to exceed his Sager laptop. So if he can't exceed the Sager laptop for $800, then it's not really worth doing. His home theater computer is running Windows 8.1, is running an AMD A75, no, it's running an A10 5800 quad core 4.2 gigahertz AMD processor. Actually, it's an APU. And it's running a Seagate Barracuda 1 terabyte hard drive and 4 gigs of Corsair memory. And he does not want to get an SSD for it at the moment. So for $800, can you get enough parts to upgrade that computer to be better than an i7-2720Q and a GTX 485M?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, the answer is most definitely. For a home theater computer, you are in luck. Because you can get a GTX 970, Gigabyte and Asus now make versions that are mini ITX. So they are like 6 inches long. They're barely longer than the PCI Express slot. And they use very little power. They can't be overclocked quite as far, but they still have decent coolers on them. And it's a GTX 970 for the same price as any other 970. So you can get one of those. It's about $350. You can get a 4670K for another $230. That puts us up to $580. You can get a motherboard for like $120, and then you can get another 4 gigs of memory. You'll come out just under $800. You'll be able to play every modern game on ultra settings. So if you're cool with that as an upgrade, as long as your power supply is like 500 watts, you're totally fine. If you have any follow-up questions, email me for clarification. But what you're looking for is a GTX 970 mini ITX version if you need it to be smaller to go in your case. You want a 4670K with a motherboard to go along with it, and another 4 gigs of memory. And you can sell your current stuff, probably get back like $150 maybe. That'll help offset the cost of that. But that's what I would do, and it will blow away your Sega laptop. Your Sega isn't a bad laptop, but it can't compete with a desktop with the amount of stuff you can get. Yeah. You could actually, the potato masher will perform better than your laptop right now, and you could build that brand new for $350.
New build.
If you're interested in it, you could. So.
I think Zotac actually is making the Shorty 970s too now.
Oh, they are? Okay, cool.
I saw one in stock at Tiger Direct. It was tiny. Tiny.
If I buy another 970, I would probably get one of the mini ones just because it's like frees up airflow in your case. It performs basically the same.
But less overclocking headroom because of the smaller
but people aren't
area.
getting crazy overclocking results out of them. Like, it's not...
Also true.
It's not insane. Like, my 7950 overclocked like a beast. It overclocked up to GTX 680 levels, pretty much. So, like, that was actually impressive overclocking. That was like a 25% performance boost. That was worth it. An extra 5-10%, it's nice, but it's not really going to affect me that much in games. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that is all of the mail. That was a lot of mail. So, thank you.
You mean news?
Shut up.
He means mail.
Yes. Oh,
Finally.
and oh, shoot. Sorry, Ben. I forgot to say that. Ben has 2 keys he wants to give away for Insurgency. I'm sorry, Ben. I forgot to tell you. Send me an email with the keys, or I'll send you an email later. We have something coming up for the Loot Cast in 2 weeks. I'd like to give them away during the Loot Cast, if that's okay.
Christmas Loot Cast.
Yeah. 2 weeks from now. Last year's was a big hit. But yeah. I'd like to give them away then, if that's cool with you, just because we're going to have giveaways and everything set up. Like, we're already going to have a system set up to do it. And tonight we don't have like an easy way other than just saying, hey, if you want them, put them in chat, take them. So he said, one has to be given away today. Dave, what's something quick we can do to prove that someone is worthy of getting Insurgency?
Wait, why does this key have a timer stuck to it? This is weird.
It's going to blow.
We could do.
Is it bad that as soon as you said keys, I just instantly thought of CS:GO? I actually think I have a problem.
That's pretty fantastic.
I'm obsessed with this game right now. It's unbelievable.
It is exploded compared to how it was at launch. It's pretty amazing to see.
Yeah, and I only got into it like relatively recently, like 6 months ago or something.
Yeah,
and I kind of got into it quite slowly to begin with. Like, people slowly coaxed me into it, and I was like, but you can't aim down sight. It's a bit... I'm not sure how I feel about this. And now, if I go back to another game, I'm like, aiming down sight, it's just so unnecessary. My sensitivity is so low when I aim down the sight. Like, what is this? I just want to hit fire. Yeah, and the pro scene is just so much fun to watch as well. DreamHack was amazing.
How about
anyway,
previous podcast trivia, Jeremiah?
All right, Dave, you come up with easy. Make it easy. Make it easy.
Nice and simple. Whoever can, I guess they can Google it too, but just try to answer off the top of your head if you know. What was the title of episode 1 of the podcast in 2012?
Episode 1 of the podcast.
What was the title?
What was the title?
Yeah.
And whoever writes that, if you don't have Insurgency, write it in there. Don't be a dick and just take the key from someone else. Like, if you don't own Insurgency and you'd like to play it, first person to write that down, you win.
Yeah, and I'll probably I can PM over Twitch for the key.
And while we are waiting for that, Jamie, let's talk to you for a little bit.
Hi.
Hello.
We have a guest tonight, guys.
Okay, I have a link. They actually have to follow the link, so I'll email the person who wins. Jamie has sent me the link. All right. Yeah, let's talk to you. So, or no, Ben sent me a link. Did I say Jamie sent me a link?
I ain't sent you no link, sir.
Man, this is just
You okay tonight, Jeremiah? You need some coffee? Because unfortunately,
man.
I'm actually out. But if you might want to get some.
Okay. So you make videos on YouTube, is that correct?
I've been known to.
The word on the street is.
Well, yeah. That's kind of how everyone knows me. I think I first encountered you two in the Titanfall tournament thing.
Were we on the same team?
I don't remember.
I don't even remember. Like, I don't remember anyone.
I'm
who's
pretty
on
sure
my
Dave
team.
was on my team. Actually,
Okay, then we weren't on the
so.
same team then. Okay, cool. Yeah, we were all part of like the giant Skype discussion that went on for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah,
that's all. So I remember seeing your name pop up a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done various different things on my channel over the few years that I've been on YouTube, and at the moment going through a bit of a hiatus due to university and playing too much Counter-Strike, basically.
Well, see, I was going to say smart man, but then you added the last part about Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
I was like, oh,
you see,
well,
like
maybe not.
If I want to feel good about myself, then I would say, yeah, no, it's because I'm just working so hard. That's why I'm making videos. But if I go on Steam and it says I don't even know how many hours played in the last 2 weeks on CS:GO, that would refute that point. But yes, I make videos sometimes.
Outside of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, really, I should just make more Counter-Strike videos. Really, I should just hit that record button a bit more often. But
there you go.
All right, Spec Ops has written down in chat. He Googled it, but he got it correct. The title of the first episode was "Will There Be Pooping in DayZ?" All right,
December 2012.
That's definitely not guessable.
Yeah, surprisingly not guessable title. Spec Ops actually was interested in already too. Cool. All right, well, Spec Ops, you have hopped into our Teamspeak channel plenty of times, so you just go ahead and hop into the lobby. Ben is in the lobby right now, and you guys can work it out. We've done our duty. We've hooked you guys up, and now my responsibility is done. So, RoflRaptor, guessing by your accent, you're going to school in Alabama, I think?
Close. Savannah, Georgia, actually.
Okay, yeah, sounds like it. No,
yeah.
So do you live over the pond?
I do. I live in, well, I guess we've just had Thanksgiving, so I probably shouldn't make too many jokes. Yeah, I'm from the land of the Brits.
The land of the losers.
Oh.
Hey, a tactical retreat is acceptable.
No, how does it feel when you're playing with Americans, like hanging out with Americans playing games and stuff? Because we're so disrespectful of your time zone. Like there's so many people from England and beyond who play games with us, like you're part of the general larger gaming group. And you guys are always staying up to like 4 a.m. to play with us. And like, I would never do that. So kudos to you.
What time is it there, Jamie?
I guess, we just do what we have to, man. We're a very accepting people. No, I actually play for that exact reason, especially because I'm obviously at university at the moment. During term time, when I have to get up for lectures and classes, there's just no way that I can feasibly stay up and play with Americans. So actually, I've plenty of Europeans and other British people that I play Counter-Strike with and that kind of thing. But when summer rolls around, the 6 a.m., 7 a.m. bedtime start coming in. I don't know, dude. It just happens. Like I'm seeing that, and you'll notice if you follow any reasonable amount of UK YouTubers on Twitter, like that's the kind of the average bedtime. Like they're kind of synced up with either maybe Central or even West Coast time. So we just become nocturnal, basically.
Yeah, I know Ultra Grunt, who's from England, as far as I know, doesn't actually sleep. Like, I have no proof that he sleeps. Same thing with Scanner Barkley. I'm pretty sure he doesn't sleep. Pretty much everyone
doesn't sleep.
Yeah, pretty much everyone I know who's over in that section of the world, those couple time zones, like, I don't know. Either they're running on U.S. time or they just don't sleep ever. Because anytime I hop on my computer, they're on. Like it doesn't make sense. But I don't know.
They're just more dedicated than you are, Jeremiah.
I guess so. I'm just slacking over here, but with my job.
Well, to be honest, like the 100+ ping annoys me more than the time difference. If I play with Americans,
that's true.
To be quite honest, so.
It's not always that bad though. We've played with some of the guys from over there. We've played games with under 100 ping, which is amazing if you think about like what's going on. The internet's going across the ocean in less than a tenth of a second, across and back in less than a tenth of a second. Like, you want to complain when it's over that, but you just can't. Like, you don't feel like you can, you know?
No, if we're talking like New York or something, then yeah, I'm sure we can get it down below 100. But on average, it's 100 or a bit above. And if West Coast, I just don't even bother because there's like
West Coast, you have to go through the Midwest. So you have to go through the Bible Belt, a tornado, and an earthquake by the time you get to the West Coast. Like, the internet just can't sustain those speeds. It's impossible. If you don't mind me asking, what are you studying in university? Like, what are you hoping to do when you grow up?
Well, yeah, that's two different questions. So last year I did mechanical engineering.
Whoa.
And university here works a lot different to college in the US, as far as I can gather, because you guys seem to study a lot of different subjects when you first go to college, and then you kind of specialize like further on down the line. Whereas here we literally come out of high school, choose a very specific course, and then you just do that.
Well, you can choose a specific course here.
You have to choose. So, I mean, you do like mechanical engineering, and you do nothing else. You just do mechanical engineering.
Oh,
like,
okay.
There's no options for like electives and that kind of thing. Like, you might be able to maybe learn a language alongside it, like have like one language class a week, but that's like on your own time. It's not part of the course or anything like that. You don't earn credits. The
last like 2 years of American college is pretty much like that, but the first year is probably like 2/3 other courses. Like, they want to make sure you can do English and math and everything else that the American school system has probably failed to teach you. And then so maybe like 1/3 of your major, just dipping your toes in. And the second year is probably like 50-50. And then from then on, it's pretty much, full bore.
Yeah. So it's a lot different here. So I see someone in the chat going, wow, mechanical engineering, that's great. Yeah, but I didn't finish.
But you tried.
I did. So, and I actually, it's not that I found it too hard, really. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it like I thought I would. I kind of wanted to do engineering for a long time growing up, but it just wasn't to be, I guess. And my other great love was languages. So now I'm doing French and Spanish and enjoying it a lot more. And it's pretty different. Everyone's like, whoa, that's a big change. Which it is, but it's a change for the better.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not employment wise, but
a lot more.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, like 4 years time. It's fine.
It's probably a good idea to go ahead and lock down, what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life as something that you enjoy at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't know.
It could be worse. I know people who have gotten like midway through medical school and been like, I'm not sure I want to be a doctor. But when you already like $200,000 of loans in, you feel a little committed. You feel like I probably shouldn't switch to like underwater basket weaving or something. Like, I'm going to want a marketable skill here.
Who wants that, doctor? I'm in it because of the loans, guys. I hate my life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh man. You remember even the lowest graduate in a medical program is still working somewhere. The worst graduate still graduated.
Just save you a few less lives.
Well, graduated doesn't mean employed. Like,
that's true, but doctors generally don't have a hard time getting employed. There's a lot of other fields where you're going to fight and claw your way to get employed. Doctors, unfortunately, fortunately/unfortunately aren't one of them. Fortunately, in the sense that if you've gone through all that schooling, it's a field where you can pretty easily get employment. Unfortunately, even if you're bad at it, you can pretty easily get employment. So, which is the reason that like malpractice, I think, is the number 2 killer in I don't know about all around the world or if it's just American hospitals, but in general, I think like right behind heart disease and cancer, I think is malpractice, which is not great. But yeah. Or accidents, okay, to be fair. So anyway, you make videos on YouTube. No, so you what you said about like when it's in the middle of the school year, you have to scale back a bit. That's the exact same thing for me. I'm a wedding photographer, so like when wedding season's going hard, from like the summer is a little bit dead in my area, but the spring and then from like end of August till mid-November, I guess Dave can probably tell you. I've played DayZ with you like twice, maybe. It's
we started a new series in DayZ back. I think we started filming it in August almost by accident. Because you actually played for like 3 or 4 hours with all of us one night. We had like this whole like 58 long, really great episode, just really intense. And I think that was the last time you've been in since was that footage in August. You might have had like one brief cameo at the end of one. That's that real life kicking in.
Yeah, real life. But I mean, it's okay. Like, but you know, looking at your channel, Jamie, you've got like good, solid, pretty consistent content. You're not putting out a video like every day and a half like a lot of people are, but you're not pumping out a lot of schlock like a lot of people are. So even if you're only putting down a solid video like every week or so, you're still getting very good amounts of views on them, and it seems like you've got good crowd engagement. Like you've got a good fan base. So
I think I owe a lot of that to my Twitter following, I think. And what, even though I'm kind of a bit shaky in whether I'm active on YouTube or not, like I'm never going to be inactive on Twitter because I'm just far too narcissistic to give that up. So,
the people need to hear.
My opinion is so damn important. Why don't they understand? Yeah, said every teenage person of my generation.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sorry, that took a bit of a weird turn there.
It's okay. Now it happens. Do you have anything you want to bring up before we wrap the podcast down here? Anything that's really just been irritating you lately, or anything you're super excited about in gaming? Because that's something we don't touch on much.
I'm quietly excited for Star Wars Battlefront, as I think everyone is.
Mm-hmm.
Please, DayZ. Please.
We all want to believe.
Please, DayZ.
We want to believe.
No, to be honest, like I said, CSGO has kind of taken over my soul lately, and it's all other games like Far Cry 4 I was super hyped for. Like I said, it actually works well for me. My 970, like it's just gorgeous, and I've barely played it at all because Counter-Strike. So I'll get around to it eventually. And yeah, in terms of things that annoy me, there's far too many to list here. So I'll just let it go.
But if people do want to see that, they should follow you as at TheRoflRaptor on Twitter.
At TheRoflRaptor, yeah. If you haven't got enough pretentious 19-year-olds pontificating about, wow, I just used the word pontificating. There you go. That proves my first point.
So maybe a tiny bit elitist.
A little bit of a PC
doesn't
elitism.
Make his bed that often. He's British. Yeah. Don't hold any of this against him. You can follow
my bed
him.
is actually made. It's literally just like turned over. I just like to point that out. Like that's fresh. That's freshly made. Like
it's
from
made
the laundry.
except for the part that you flipped up. The rest of it's made.
Now it is winter there, right? In jolly old England, like it's
winter here, but I live in a house of students who are kind of like allergic to the cold, so we just have the heating on like massively.
Now, are you in university housing, like where you're not paying like by the kilowatt?
I was last year. Now we are, but my my housemates are very adverse to the cold. It seems they're the kind of people that I mean, yeah, you must know the kind of people that think that you should be able to walk around in your house in shorts and t-shirt in December
all year long. Yeah. The same people that are like, I want to sleep with the covers on in the middle of the summer. If that means I need a giant fan and the AC down to 62 degrees, so be it. I like my comforter. It makes me feel nice. That same
comforts
crowd?
me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those people. So
yeah. No, that's yeah. I just think I've got embarrassing stories to share, but I won't. That's occasionally you think you should, you shouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
There is a line. Wow.
There is a line, Dave, believe it or not. So yeah, but thank you for coming out to the podcast. Appreciate you coming on board and making fun of stuff.
I've enjoyed myself. I've learned quite a lot as well, because I'm much less knowledgeable about kind of PC builds and that kind of thing than you two. And I'm gonna pester you after this to help me with overclocking, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Fancy.
I'm a bit of a noob on that front. But
Dave and I get more excited than realistically we should, but we get really excited about this type of stuff. So yeah, definitely do that. You're welcome back on the podcast anytime. You're the right type of cynical. You fit in well.
There's a stereotype there, I think. I was going to say, Jeremiah, I think with the overclocking, there's definitely a confession here. For me, my 4.15 gigahertz overclock on my 3930 reset on Sunday while I was doing some recording. And I was like, I should probably back it down just a little bit. I'm like, or instead of backing my overclock down a bit and finishing the recording I was working on, I could spend 3.5 hours trying to push it up to 4.4 instead. I was like, I'm going to be in the BIOS anyway. I might as well mess with it. So that's what happened.
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours of. Yeah,
that's nothing. Yeah, processors have gotten way better. Dave was just at the limit of his. My first quad core in college at Q6600, it took 2 months of maybe 20 minutes a day. I would pump it up 3 or 4 megahertz just to get from 2.4 gigahertz to 3 gigahertz. So it would stop bottlenecking my SLI setup. It took months to get that stupid thing stable. And it was stable at 3. It was not stable at 3.05. There was a very definite line where it would not go any further. Modern processors, Joel complained so much about overclocking and he didn't see the need for it and he didn't want to and there was no point and blah, 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 blah. I went to his computer after he built it. I sat down, I set the settings, took a random guess, set them, restarted the computer. It was 100% stable. He hasn't touched it. He went from 3.6 to 4.5 gigahertz in 5 minutes, no issues. It's gotten way easier, but I digress. So if people want to follow you, they can tweet at TheRoflRaptor. They can find you on YouTube at TheRofl, or not at, but youtube.com/TheRoflRaptor. And we're going to put all these in the description of the video so everyone, you don't have to be writing this down. But as usual, you can tweet at the show at Casual Shenanigans. You can write into casualshenanigans at gmail.com.
Shenanigans, not shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Pew, pew.
Shenanigans.
No,
User entered your channel.
You're not forgetting our closing section here, are you?
I'm not. Wait, why is Debbie in our TeamSpeak all of a sudden?
User left your channel.
That was. Thank you, TeamSpeak.
Wait, the people on the podcast won't hear that, will they?
No, they will.
User was moved to your channel.
Wait, real quick, Debbie, what's going on? She's not talking. Okay.
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. Did you want to hop in and say something real quick?
No, I actually thought you guys were going to be in the live streaming channel and not the admin's channel. Hi. Bye.
Hi, Debbie.
Bye.
User left your channel.
I'll just have to pull that out of the backup recording later. Anyway, sorry, what were you going to say, Dave? What's the last bit that I completely forgot about?
I do have a closing little comment section this week.
Oh, yes. It is now time for the comment of the week, where Dave reaches down into the bowels of the internet with a plunger and plunges out some fresh, glistening turds and examines whichever big one has clogged the pipes this week and holds it up and on a plate for everyone's amusement. So, Dave, what do you have for us this week?
If you guys heard a flushing sound a few minutes ago, I actually just got what's going to be our second comment of the week, but we're going to start things off with a Total War video comment from a video that was posted.
These are the best commenters.
These people care
a lot. They care so much.
Posted 2 years ago on Empire Total War, The American Road to Independence, Episode 1. And because Joel's not here to read it for me, I love Joel's random loser voices he does for YouTube comments. I probably can't match that, but I'm gonna try here. Wow, shocking how you won so easily. Maybe switch to hard mode, then post. I can't believe you played this whole campaign in easy mode, loser.
Oh, loser.
Loser. You played a strategy game on easy, loser. And the great part was, it wasn't on easy, it was just on the standard difficulty for the game. I don't know what he's talking about.
You played it at spec
My
settings.
favorite part of that whole thing is the fact that it's 2 years old.
Yeah, it's a 2-year-old video.
Who are these people that are incapable of looking at an upload date?
There are people that still tell him not to sell his GTX 480s because they find his several years old video where he's talking. It's like, oh, it's like he's already he's already sold the cards that replaced those.
Yeah, okay, so interrupting the comment of the week, just briefly, I posted a video last year when I bought my first GTX 680 about whether or not it could match my 480 SLI. And for some reason, I've been getting more and more comments the last couple of months on that video. Like, I get a couple of comments on that video a week right now. And people are arguing back and forth about, like, why don't you just water cool the 480s? I mean, they're still great cards. I'm like, I sold them over a year ago. I've sold the 680. Someone
You're
just last
so
week,
far behind.
someone last week, they were really trying to help. Like, hey, man, you should check out the new 970. That would totally replace your 480 SLI. I'm like, I appreciate the comment, but look at the day. And then for the final comment of the week, the one that just rolled in 5 minutes ago. This is a comment on the video I posted of me and Joel with Joel's Oculus Rift. Video is called Oculus Rift First Try, Virtual Reality Demos, and Alien Isolation. And the comment simply says, don't do face videos. That's it.
Oh my god, wrecked.
To which I just replied, "You're not my real dad."
Dave is never going to make a video again that I wrecked him so hard.
It's just I so
Quit
because
YouTube.
Wait,
I got the comment while we were live on the podcast. It was just so perfect.
Can I please read the number 3 comment you have written down here, please? It makes me so happy.
Well, okay. Yeah.
What video was that on, by the way?
I actually forgot that was in there. Where did it go? Is it still in there on the bottom?
It's by Beth. It says,
okay, yeah, okay. It was a comment on my video I posted about the initial vehicle implementation in DayZ experimental.
Okay.
Joel, I wish Joel was here for this one. I forgot about this.
Can I do it?
Please do.
In the bottom right corner, the map looks like fat running. I have no problem with fat people, KK.
Except it doesn't actually say that. It says, I have no promobile with fat
it
pole.
says, in the bottom right corner, the map looks like fat running. I have no promobile with fat pole, KK.
Oh, I thought you meant the comment above that.
Signing
read
off
that
with
one
KK,
too?
like, okay, we're all good here. Just
No,
put my opinion out there.
I think the previous one, the DayZ one is actually, I think they were reaching for the award.
Yeah, so we're not going to give it to them.
Yeah.
They're already giving it to themselves. I wish you could see the comment. All right, but yeah, thank you everyone for coming out to watch our face video tonight. We appreciate it.
I'll never make another one again.
Last one ever.
This has been the last one. From now on, it's just going to be a splash screen uploaded in 4K, 50 megabit splash screen. See what you've done. But thank you for everyone for coming out. Thank you, RoflRaptor, for joining us. And Kanan, who just sent in an email like midway through the end of the podcast. We will read your email next week because I want to actually devote time to it, not just gloss over it, which we have to do now for time. But thank you, everyone, for coming out. It's been fun. And Jamie, do you know how we always end the podcast? Have you heard that? He hasn't listened to the end. I knew it. That's fine. He said he liked the podcast. I knew he was lying.
I feel like
it's
I must have done, but
that's fine. No, we always end the podcast by telling everyone to stay casual. So could you take us out this week as our special guest?
Remember, everyone, stay casual.